The chair recognizes the gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Labrador, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Rosenstein, for being here today. I shudder at some of the questions from the other side, and I just want to ask you a quick question. Have you ever said that you are the president's wingman?
No, sir.
Has the current Attorney General of the United States ever said that he is the president's wingman?
Not to my knowledge.
But yet, the Attorney General under President Obama said that he was the president's wingman, and I never heard a single Democrat object to that. So it's kind of ridiculous to sit here and try to question your integrity or trying to question whether somebody's going to be loyal to their president or not. As you clearly indicated, you can be both loyal to the Constitution and to the President of the United States. As long as there's not a conflict of interest, as long as you're not doing anything that is inappropriate, it's okay to be the president's wingman. It's also okay to say that you're going to be loyal to the president as long as they're not asking you to do anything that is illegal. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So, what was the goal of the Russians when they tried to interfere with the elections in the United States?
The assessment of the intelligence community, as reflected in their public report, is that the goal of the Russians was to undermine American confidence in democracy.
So, to undermine the Americans...
That's what I'm paraphrasing, Congressman. I don't have it in front of me.
So they try to undermine the public faith in the U.S. democratic process. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
I believe that no one in the United States has done more to undermine the belief in the United States democratic process than the Democrats and the press in some cases when they continue to report on false allegation after allegation after allegation. In fact, what you see from the Democrats is that they move from one allegation, that allegation is proven to be false, and they move to the next one, and they move to the next one, and they move to the next one, because they're unhappy with the results of the election. Can you tell me why the independent counsel was actually appointed?
It's a special counsel, Congressman. I've explained publicly that I appointed the special counsel based upon the unique circumstances in order to promote public confidence, and I have nothing to add to that.
So why, when Mr. Mueller was charged with investigating, he was charged with investigating, quote, any links and or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of Donald Trump, and any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation, end quote. That charge is overly broad, but there's been two prosecutions, or at least two charges so far brought by the independent counsel. Is that correct?
4 individuals charged, 2 pleaded guilty, and 2 will stand trial.
Have any of them been charged with any links and or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign for President Trump?
Congressman, the charges speak for themselves. I'm not going to comment beyond what's in the charging documents.
But is there anything in those charging documents that there was a coordination between the Trump administration and the Russians?
Congressman, I'm not going to comment beyond what's in the charging documents. I think you can draw your own conclusion.
So something I do agree with my friends on the other side is that we should get to the bottom of, we should know the truth. We should know whether there was collusion between Russia and the President of the United States. We should also know whether there was collusion between any department who tried to interfere with our elections. So can you tell me, was there collusion between the DOJ and Fusion GPS to use a Democratic-funded document for political and legal purposes?
I don't know the answer to that, Congressman. I would simply point out that the language I actually used in the appointing order was coordination, and I believe that was the language used by Director Comey when he publicly testified about an ongoing investigation. I did not use the word collusion.
Okay, so that coordination, was there any coordination between the DOJ and Fusion GPS to try to undermine an election of the United States?
If there were, Congressman, I'd be very concerned about it. As you know, there are ongoing reviews, and I'm not in a position to comment about that.
So there are ongoing reviews, so there could potentially be an investigation whether the DOJ and members of the DOJ actually colluded with an enemy of a political party and a political candidate to undermine the elections of the United States.
If there's any evidence that warrants it, Congressman, we'll do what's appropriate.
All right. So I think if you want to restore the trust of the American people, I think the Department of Justice has a duty to give us all the information that we have been asking for. We need to find out who started this investigation. We need to find out what the purpose was. If you have an individual who actually had a desire to have an outcome in a political race, and they decided to use the Department of Justice to investigate their political opponents, I think that is one of the worst crimes that has occurred in the history of the United States when it comes to politics. Do you agree with that?
It would, if that were what happened, Congressman, it would certainly be of great concern.
All right. Well, I hope that you are truly investigating this and that we get to the bottom of this. Thank you very much, and I yield back.